We are just hours, if not days, before Christmas 2020. Hello, I'm John Rawl. This is the Y'all Show, talk with a Southern accent. And while we have Christmas coming up, we know that our tummies need to be fed. And what better way to feed them, if it is allowed, than to have some good barbecue for Christmas 2020. We need something to put a smile to our face. And is it okay to have barbecue on Christmas? To answer that question, we're going to bring on our barbecue barrister back onto the program, Matt Heermans. And Matt is on to talk about Q and more. Welcome back to the show, Matt Heermans.
I am happy to be back, and I cannot wait to talk Christmas time barbecue. Ho, ho, hickory smoke.
So is that a faux pas or whatever term you want to use? Is barbecue acceptable at Christmas?
Well, I mean, I happen to think barbecue is acceptable all the time, but I think there are, if we use the loose terminology with barbecue, so essentially putting something or anything on a smoker, then yeah, I've got a couple really, really good ideas that go really well with Christmas. So yes, the answer to that is absolutely.
You have ideas, and guess what, Matt Heermans? We've got the time here on the Y'all Show. So let's not hold back here as we talk about Christmas and barbecue. I've got some thoughts coming from the Lone Star State, but we cover 16 states here. So what do you have in mind, if you don't mind giving us a little prepper?
Yeah, so there's a couple meats that I've done Christmas time that are popular with. One of them is probably more of a Gulf Coast centered treat, but ham is the one I'm thinking of off the top of my head. Now, we have talked in the past about ham, and can you put ham on a smoker? What can you do with a ham when it comes to barbecue, and kind of adding your own touches and flourishes to it? Because a lot of people love ham at Christmas time. I love ham for Christmas time. I love a honey baked ham. I guess that's a brand name, but I guess it's kind of like Kleenex or something. I love a ham with a sweet candied glaze on the outside. There's lots of really great brands and local brands across the South that do that.
But that's not barbecue.
No, so here's the thing. We're going to have to put some smoke on it. Even if we're going to use the general term, we get pure, and I'm a purist myself. We talk about barbecue, but let's say we want to add a little smoke flavor to our Christmas table, but we want ham. We have talked about before kind of doing your own ham, which is a wonderful, wonderful idea. And what you can do, so I think all of us who have gone out and spent money on one of these delicious kind of sugared hams that are cured and they have the nice crust on the outside know these are not cheap. They're delicious and they're fantastic. And I would encourage anybody who's got a local one to go spend money at your local ham place. But if you wanted to do a little twist, you can get a ham, and you can get a spiral sliced ham, or your butcher can spiral slice the ham. If you know a meat market, they will take a ham that's cured and they will spiral slice it for you. And then what you can do is add your own ham glaze. Now, of course, you could hop on the old Googles and you could find a bunch of different recipes for ham glaze if you want to glaze your own ham. A lot of them have molasses. A lot of them have brown sugar, butter, obviously different kinds of sugar, turbinado sugar. Some of them have a little kick to it with maybe some cayenne and salt. It's wonderful. But you can do it yourself, and you can put it on the smoker. So if you like spiral sliced, candied, sweet crusted ham, and you like barbecue like I do, maybe you go a little adventurous. Maybe you get yourself your own ham that's spiral sliced, and you make your own glaze. You put it on the smoker. You add some hickory smoke or some peach wood. It's really good too with ham, and it will surprise you. You will love it. That's one thing I was thinking of for all the ham lovers out there, and I think there are a lot of us. The other, pardon me.
That was one of your ham lovers calling.
That's actually ham delivery. I actually have it delivered to my door. I'm just kidding. That would be ridiculous. But no, actually, I don't know if it'd be ridiculous. I mean, you might have an idea there. But the other thing I was thinking of is something that's popular in my neck of the woods, which is the Gulf Coast. A turducken. Have you ever heard of a turducken, John?
Yes, only because of you have I heard of a turducken.
Well, a turducken is, I think if you're somewhere along the Texas coast, all the way maybe to the Florida Panhandle, you probably immediately know what I'm talking about. But what a turducken is kind of what the name suggests, although it sounds kind of like Frankenstein. It kind of is Frankenstein. Essentially, what it is a turkey stuffed with a duck and then stuffed with a chicken. And the chicken's usually kind of small, maybe like a Cornish game hen or so, because you have the big turkey, and then you have the medium duck, and then you have the small chicken. And there's all kinds of Cajun stuffing. There's a lot of cornbread dressing in between and stuffed into these birds. And it kind of comes together into this compact, delicious poultry fest. So this is something that people love around Christmas time, particularly on the Gulf Coast. Once again, you can put this on your smoker. You can put it on the barbecue pit, and you can add another layer of flavor that you wouldn't believe. And if you've never had just not a ton, but if you've never had just the right amount of hickory smoke on cornbread dressing that comes out of a turducken, I mean, I got to tell you, you're missing out. So if you can find one of these, I would say don't put it in the oven, put it on the smoker. Because it's wonderful.
We'll take your advice, Matt Heermans. We are talking to our barbecue barrister here on the show that's all about the South. And if you have a barbecue-related question or comment that you want to fire away at Mr. Heermans, we welcome that at Yall.com or on our Facebook page, Yall.com on Facebook. So he's given us some of his great advice. Matt, if you don't mind, I've got something that I found courtesy of TexasHillCountry.com, a website that covers all things Texas Hill Country. And their article that's up now that caught my eye was how to serve a Texas Christmas barbecue dinner. Do you have any idea what we're going to be talking about here? Because I'm going to hopefully surprise you with some of this stuff.
Well, I think you might surprise me. The Hill Country is kind of its own little region there, so I have some ideas. But let's see. Throw me the curve. See if I can catch it.
Say that again, sir.
So go ahead and throw me that curveball, John. I'll see if I can catch
it. It may not be a curveball because you are, by the way, the barbecue barrister. You're supposed to know everything. But when you're in Texas, generally you're going to have a good brisket-type barbecue. And so I'm going to show a photo of what this article here at TexasHillCountry.com has posted there. What are we looking at there?
Well, it looks to me like a brisket.
Yeah, but what about the sauce and all the other fun stuff?
Let's see. It looks like some type of maybe plum or cranberry sauce that's drizzled over this brisket. And I can tell you that brisket in the picture was probably not done on a pit. I don't see a smoke ring, but am I close?
I think so. I mean, they don't get too scientific with their article. They're just saying that barbecue and Christmas can go together, and that the quintessential Texas meat, brisket that is great for Christmas Day. Nothing says Christmas like barbecue.
Well, I agree with them there. And Central Texas certainly says brisket. Nothing says brisket like Central Texas. So that's pretty fantastic. I like the idea of putting a sweet sauce or a sweet glaze over brisket for Christmas time. Not something you usually think of. You usually think of salt, pepper, and oak smoke. But yeah, I think that's something to check out. You might have taught me into something new, John.
Yeah, in fact, the article here at TexasHillCountry.com specifically mentions in the article, Matt, that they have something called Home Base Mom's Recipe for Slow Cooker Beef Brisket or Whiskey Barbecue Ribs from the Texas Hill Country.
Okay, that is unique, I would say, because you don't typically think of brisket cooked that way, but you do think of maybe homey Christmas time, winter time, dishes. So that's kind of combining certain different cooking methods. You're kind of combining a hill country staple, which is brisket, and then you're combining it with kind of a slow cooker type way of maybe you do something like a pot roast. And you got my interest piqued.
All right. Well, that's kind of the main meat there in the Texas Hill Country for barbecue. But how about something that seems a little weird to me, but maybe it's a hit in the Texas Hill Country, and that is to go along with your brisket there, barbecued Brussels sprouts right there.
I don't know if I should admit this, but I have done barbecue Brussels sprouts in a particular manner, so I can vouch. I can vouch for them.
And how do you make
Essentially,
them?
the way I do it is, I think most people would cook Brussels sprouts in maybe a cast iron skillet, or a lot of folks would put them on an oiled up pan in the oven. So what I've done in the past is simply take my oven pan out to the smoker and cook it with charcoal and a little bit of wood in the same exact way. Maybe a little olive oil, a little salt, pepper, maybe a little garlic. And it is fantastic. I mean, it is really, really good. I don't know. I guess barbecue, and we'll call it barbecue because it's out on a smoke and we can put some wood smoke to it. But I got to say, I am a huge fan of just halved smoked Brussels sprouts. I think they're fantastic, and I think that's a great idea for a side dish. I think people who maybe are iffy on Brussels sprouts, if you put a little charcoal, you put a little wood to them and cook them till they start to get soft and you kind of get a crunchy, crispy outside on it. I think even the most hardened Brussels sprout hater would probably come around on those. So I can personally vouch for that. That is delicious.
All right. Athena Hessong penned this article at TexasHillCountry.com, and you can see where this Brussels sprout barbecue, the way it is, goes well with brisket. Do you like that?
Absolutely. In fact, if you're doing a savory Brussels sprout and you're doing kind of a sweet, maybe slow cooker type brisket, you've got a nice what do you got? Flavor combination. You got a nice flavor profile. You got the savory Brussels and the sweet brisket. I love that. That goes together really, really well. And of course, when I say savory, what I mean is just, using salt and other spices with no sugar whatsoever. That's all that word means. So, yeah, I think a nice smoky, kind of crispy, savory Brussels sprout and a sweet plate of brisket. I mean, my mouth is watering a little bit. That's what we want. You want a kind of a different combination of flavors to keep your mouth fired up for that next bite.
We're talking about the article at TexasHillCountry.com, how to serve a Texas Christmas barbecue dinner. We're visiting with our barbecue barrister, Matt Heermans. This is the Y'all Show. And Matt, we've talked about the fun of brisket. We've talked about how you can spice it up with a barbecued Brussels sprout. Of course, the article says you've got to have a few baked beans thrown in for fun as well. But let's cool things down, if you don't mind, Matt Heermans, with this article from TexasHillCountry.com. And the way we can cool things down, I'm just going to have to pull out the graphic and see if you can tell me what we're looking at here. Well, that's one way to cool it down right there. Do you know what that is, sir?
Why don't you tell me, John? I can't.
That is what
I'm
we
still
call
looking at the brisket for whatever reason on my end.
Yeah,
so
it's stuck
can you
in your
describe
head.
it to me?
I believe they call that in the Texas Hill Country black bean corn salad.
Oh, that's I've heard it called Texas caviar, Southern caviar. I know what you're talking about. That's when you talk about cool. I think about summertime when I think of that little caviar salad there with the beans and a little bit of dressing on it. If you've never had that, it's a pretty good combo. The corn is kind of poppy and cool and sweet, and the beans are creamy. It's kind of a staple, and I think it's probably I think people across the South have probably had that under different names, but I'm a big fan of that dish as well, especially after a heavy shoot. You're eating barbecued Brussels sprouts and sweet slow cooked brisket. I mean, that's about as heavy as it gets. You're going to want something nice and light, and I think that would be a great little addition.
And just for those of us who have not gone out and dined on caviar, that nickname Texas caviar, there's not really the traditional caviar in there, right?
Oh, no, not at all. In fact, it's probably one of the cheapest dishes you can make. And
okay.
No, it's just I think it's because of the beans and the corn. They have kind of a texture that kind of pop in your mouth, maybe like some fancy Russian caviar type stuff. But nope, no fish roe, no fish eggs anywhere near it.
And of course, it's Christmas time. Of course, you can have great meats and great sides, but you gotta have dessert. And this article at TexasHillCountry.com, penned again by the great writer there, Athena Hessong, how to serve a Texas Christmas barbecue dinner. how would you like to wrap things up on Christmas Day with your barbecue feast with this bad boy? Matt, you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Now, surely you don't have to have...
Yeah, you got to describe it. It's not popping up for me, John. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that is what we call in the South a apple pie.
Oh, a classic. The classic. Yeah, that's you know what though? I'll tell you what. If I can't have vanilla ice cream with it, I probably don't even want the pie, John. What do you think?
If you've had all those other things that we've been talking about Heermans, I'm not going to get too picky. I mean, that sounds like. I mean, honestly, to me, maybe my Christmas dining has not been as good as other people, but honestly, most of the time, Christmas is no different than Thanksgiving with the meal selection. And this whole Texas Hill Country option of brisket and the Brussels sprouts and the Texas caviar and more, if I get this right here without ice cream, I'm not going to cry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. I guess I'm being I don't want to be a little.
You're being a greedy American.
I don't be greedy. I don't be greedy, but
there's some kids around the world who don't have anything for Christmas, and here you are pulling that.
I know. Some of my folks used to tell me, "Hey, there's starving kids across the world that want this," and I used to say, "Well, I'll tell you what, we should probably FedEx it right now to them." But that was my response. It kind of got me in trouble. But no, I agree. Hard to finish better than a nice solid apple pie, especially if you're all pumpkin to pecaned out for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, but that's just one thing. They also mentioned a pecan pie goes well Christmas Day with your barbecue and more. So much stuff, so much fun. That's why we have Matt Heermans come by. And if you don't mind, you've already given us a prediction earlier on football. What is the Matt Heermans Christmas eating forecast?
Well, I do. We kind of have a family, a bit of a family tradition. Well, it's either New Year's or Christmas. We alternate, but we either do a ham, and I like to do it the way I described earlier. I like to do it myself and add my own touch and add smoke to it. That's one thing. If we don't do that, then we'll do a beef tenderloin on the smoker, cooked medium rare with some salt, pepper, and some other spices on it, just as a nice little dinner. Of course, beef tenderloin is just a big fillet that's not cut into little, steak-sized pieces. So I really like that with a little pecan smoke on the cooker and some garlic butter. That's fantastic. It's either going to be that or it's going to be a ham on the schedule for us. But either way, something's going on the smoker. I can promise you that. Always
delicious food there at Matt Heermans Incorporated. Matt, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you, and we appreciate all that you've been able to provide to the Y'all Show throughout the year 2020, and we look forward to your delicious cuisine choices of 2021. Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Merry Christmas to you, John, everybody else out there. I hope everybody has a great one, and enjoy your family.
All right. Matt Heermans, the barbecue barrister. And that will wrap up our visit with Matt, and that will be all that we have for you right now on Y'all Talk with a Southern Accent. Stay with us. More of the show's coming up.